Hello, it's DE Games, and knowing that no one's gonna ever do this, I decided to take on the long task ahead. After all, I am talking, of course, about Bendy and the Ink Machine. A game that I truly enjoy, but I just want to get into this. So we start the game off with a letter from our old pal, Joey Drew, asking us to come back to the studio after so long. After exploring a bit, you get to find out that the studio Joey, you're in is actually
see if we can find what you wanted
more than it seems, as the entire place has been wrecked. Ink drips from the ceiling, and no one, and I repeat, no one is in there. Now, the first alpha of the chapter did a pretty good job at representing what the game would come out to be. And by good job, I meant absolutely horrible job. I'm not even joking.
So this is the Ink Machine.
But
wonder how you turn it
funny enough, even though the game looks almost nothing like it does in the final release, and even though this version's code is completely awful.
Oh my god. Joey, what were you doing?
Stated by Mike Mood. This would serve to be the basics of what Bendy would turn out to be. Now, let's talk about the character Bendy himself. Bendy is a cartoon caricature of a demon, you know. He's got the horns and everything.
Alright,
but
how do I get this to work?
But he also has the addition of a bow tie and his classic gloves, which are going to be a staple of his character for the duration of the game development process. The first chapter was pretty simple and unique. It had unique jump scares that were all cued by a violin, sort of like how Five Nights at Freddy's did it, except in this case they had it a lot more creepier. Seriously, the moment you turn is the moment one of the Bendy cutouts are gonna pop out. And that is what got most people. That was what most people got jumped by. Or at least initially did. Another key aspect of Bendy and the Ink Machine is its audio logs. As all Bendy fans know, you first get an audio log from Wally Franks telling you about how the studio has essentially been rushing cartoons. This seems to be an audio log around the same time that the Ink Machine was installed into the studio. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the second most important character aside from Bendy, the Ink Machine itself. The Ink Machine itself is something you capture throughout your journey through the game. This machine is seen throughout the entire studio, even at parts where it really shouldn't be. And also, the phrase, dreams come true. Now, this is a phrase in the Bendy community that's used quite often. It essentially was taken from a phrase from The Wall that was in reference to how Joey Drew was making his characters come to life, making his dreams come true. But as we all know, it was his dream, but it was Henry's efforts that made his dream a reality. Or at least until Henry left the studio about 30 years ago, before the events of Bendy and the Ink Machine. Now, there's one key aspect that I didn't talk about that I probably should. Boris's design. What do I think about it? It is goofy. Like, the final design actually made him look, made that dead Boris clone look actually creepy, but the old one just makes me laugh out loud. I have to admit, Bendy and the Ink Machine was a mess when it first came out, or at least when the first chapter came out, when we only had the alpha, and that was the only content we got from the game. But as chapters went by, and as the chapters before were slowly updated, Bendy Chapter 1 went from just an alpha content that was a little creepy to a full-on game. Now, there's something I have to talk about. The creator, the Meatly. Bendy and the Ink Machine was created by the Meatly, and the Meatly was inspired mostly by BioShock. I know, people are probably gonna go, oh no, he was inspired by Five Nights at Freddy's, and to that I have to say a big fat no! No! No, bad boy, sit down. The main inspiration was, 1, BioShock, and 2, it was just a dude trying to come up with a really cool game. Like, imagine if you were trying to come up with a cool game, huh? How many ideas would you have? And also, anyone who wants to claim this game is like Five Nights at Freddy's, dude. Bendy and the Ink Machine started and is going to end as a free roam game where you puzzle solve and avoid an ink demon that tries to kill you. Which, by the way, you can't kill the ink demon, especially in the other chapters. Chapter 1, we didn't even get a chance to run away from him, so that was something, you know. Either way, creator Meatly was able to make the game and only did it as a sort of side project. He had another game in the works that was completely different from what Bendy and the Ink Machine was. But since Bendy and the Ink Machine became extremely popular, he decided to work on it. Bendy and the Ink Machine was essentially made with its art style in mind. Mainly its art style in mind. And gameplay as well, I guess, but that was, you know, not always handled the best. For one, the acts in the first chapter did not have the physics we have in the final game. Physics we have in the final game are 100% different from the acts that you originally got at the beginning of Bendy and the Ink Machine. At the beginning of the game's development, this axe was horrible. It was awful at aiming, couldn't break anything, and was basically one of the most useless pieces of crap you had to drag around. And let's talk about one final key detail. Now, before we get into this, I would like to go into discussions and theories. MatPat, of course, posted a theory about this game, comparing it to, of course, the Fleischer brothers. But there's one final thing to discuss. The post-credit scene. Post-credit scene shows nothing but you in the same room that you passed out in, and Bendy slowly fades into the foreground. And then it ends.
They had sent you a letter to come back home to play, but to your dismay, this isn't your day. For the happy fun time has begun to fade. Watch as we reanimate our corpses you abandoned or dismantled or mishandled, but we won't be skipped and swayed. Trapped within these walls, you left our souls to drip away. The ink decayed, the walls are bay, but a reckoning has come today. You say Boris has no guts cause you replace it with mechanical stream. We've been tortured, but we move forward. This disorder kills your day. I am alive, immortalized. You're the creator, you traitor. Hey, there's no vaccine to cure what you need. Oh, now you must build up a machine. You die tonight. Tonight, build up a machine. You die tonight. Tonight, build up a machine. You die tonight. So you found all the pieces to initiate the pain. Our venom stains, our knife remains, but the ending's always just the same. No gain. Nod your head to the beat of death as you draw your last eternal breath. Sensations of an invasion start to course right through your veins. You say we have no brains, but just cartoons for your portrayal. To tell some tale by the boat and sail, but sure this inevitably unveils the fail. Swashes of eternal hate will flood the floor and clean your slate. Now we're the tools and you're the fool. Our nightmare dominates. I am alive, immortalized. You're the creator, you traitor. Hey, there's no vaccine to cure what you didn't need. Oh, now you must build up a machine. You die tonight. I am alive, immortalized. You're the creator, you traitor. Hey, there's no vaccine to cure what you didn't need. Oh, now you must build up a machine. You die tonight. Machine, you die tonight. I'm aware that your soul is now divine. We cast in our toe, even broken chains. So don't toy with us like he did to our shining stars. So prepare for revenge over a whole new creature from the darkest side. You gotta take a say the way we feel. Created as monsters that come to life. Come back to life. So you come to the end now, alive but dead inside. The heartbeat's loud, you've joined our crowd. We are but punished serpentines. Your life with him was fun, but now the terror's only just begun. Now come with me and you will see we're newborn science.